Well, it's strange. You know, I've got a lot of respect for those three guys that competed against the last couple of years, and obviously great coaches and have had a lot of success. And so again, it's a little strange, but I'm sure I'll get used to it very quickly.
Is there any impact, like tangible impact to the change in the division, or is it not really?
Not for me to sit here and say today. Maybe those teams will evolve in different ways than they have over the last couple of years. It's kind of impossible for me to say, but exciting for us. We got continuity, you know, and so we got to capitalize on that and continue to build and move forward.
Maybe a general question, but in your history, I mean, you were the first time all at once. What was the easy process? Like, how do they kind of figure that out? That's what we do. They kind of drill you in that.
Who's that?
Just as when you're interviewing for teams and they're asking you about play calling, how do they drill that? I have a general question.
How does a to be first time play caller drill that?
And how do they? I'm just curious of the process how teams interview that.
I think every team, as I go through the interview process with OCs, I haven't been in those. Obviously, there's a lot of Zooms going on these day and ages, and so probably less film involved and more just speaking. Dan's probably the best guy to talk to. I think, you know, he went through some of that this year, but you know, for like Dan Pitcher, for example, you know, he's been an integral part of our process every single day he's been here. You know, and he and I are lockstep in terms of how the plan comes together, how we're calling it during the game, all of our discussions during the game. So I think a lot of it's overstated when they talk about a first-time play caller. He hasn't called plays before. I think that's really overblown. Go find the best person and leader that can put it all together and the players respond to, and you know, those guys usually make pretty good OCs. Well, for me, critical. But at the same time, you know, I know there's a difference in not calling plays and calling plays, and so I'm open to that, you know. And Callie went through that too, and he got a head job, and so I get all that. But I'm happy to have him back. You know, I was hopeful he wasn't going to go anywhere. But again, I got a staff that's worked for me for a long time, and so I want them to have great opportunities. I want them to always be searching for more, and I think that's how you know you got a great staff. So they're not content. They want to continue to do more, and they want more on their plate and bigger opportunities. And so, you know, I'm certainly open to that with Dan.
Yeah, what does that conversation call plays somewhere? Trying to coaching job.
Yeah, it's an ongoing conversation. We talk every day, all day. You know. So it's not like this grand conversation that all of a sudden comes up on January 5th or whatever day it is. It's, you know, I always know how he feels, and we're really close, and so it's not a hard conversation. Yeah. Sure. So making James Casey the run game coordinator, that's a title he's earned. One of the hardest workers I've ever been around. I've said it a million times, the best tight end coach in the league. How he sees the game, I think, is unique, and it's important for us to have on our staff. Every time he opens his mouth, I value his opinion because I know that it's coming from a place of confidence and a lot of hard work that he's put in to formulate that opinion. He's not just quick to speak. He's not a guy who's throwing out 1,000 ideas because he wants to be heard, he wants to talk. He's a guy that's very thoughtful that when he speaks. Our overall structure, we still have a lot of people that we trust in the run game that are still a big part of it, but I thought James was very deserving of this title because of the work he's put in over the last 7 years, and James never asked me for anything, you know, and so I'm grateful to have him on our staff. I'm grateful for him to have this title and to be a large part of our leadership group moving forward, and I'm just excited for James.
Samuel just got finished saying that he feels like you guys are way prepared for combine because obviously coaching changes. Do you feel that way?
I do. I do. I think especially when you look at our defensive staff, light years ahead of where we were last year. We were talking scheme every day and trying to get up to speed on who our current players are, because a lot of these guys were obviously hadn't been here. We just hired them, and so now, you know, we've immediately we didn't take a very long vacation. We were back in the office very quickly for the reason of being on top of free agency and the draft process, so that we can get all the information, all of our thoughts and feelings on players to Duke and his staff, and so now we can coexist together and formulate the best opinions for our team. And so I feel, I didn't exactly hear what Duke said, but I know we are so much further along in this process. That's maybe the worst way to put it, but just we're in a very confident place right now as coaches. They always do their work ahead of schedule, but we're in a great place right now as coaches and can get that information to scouts.
We talk a lot about premium positions this time of year, and safety isn't usually amongst them, but the trend in the league with Derwin James, Ian Murray, Kyle Hamilton, do you feel like that is becoming more of a premium position now because of the way that some teams have been able to make it really challenging on offenses?
I think you just, those are really unique players. And so those players that you mentioned, Kyle Hamilton doesn't walk through the door every single draft, and so again, we're still going through the process of trying to find the best players that fit us at whatever position they play, and those are three great players that pose a lot of challenges for offenses that face them. We didn't play Seattle, so I'm not as familiar, but again, we're just trying to find the best players that fit us that can help us go win a championship. I know James was up next, and I'll come in.
Go in expecting, hey, we're going to add to this area, this area?
Well, we go in, we go with our scouts and develop our thoughts on needs we might have on both sides of the ball, how they can help us, special teams as well. And then we jump into free agency and we see. We go with, our scouts do a great job getting with these guys during that negotiating process and figuring out what fits for us. And then you're ready to shift if something doesn't work out to another position. It's a fun process to be a part of. There's a lot of work that goes into it. You got to do a lot of work on a lot of players because, again, it's a very quick process that happens very fast that can shift in a moment's notice, and you got to be ready to go get another great player. And so our guys, our scouts and coaches have done a great job with the evaluation process, and I feel like we're in a good spot. Yeah, I think that they all happen at different times. They weren't all day one of free agency. Some of those guys, I remember getting Von Bell several days in free agency. There's been others that have helped us that have come later on. And so, Dalton, we got Dalton in August this year, and he helped us. So we'll be prepared for the moment and see where it ends up for us. It was a lot of rookies at once. There was a lot of onboarding.
I'm curious if that experience has taught you anything about how you might deal with presumably another draft where you're at.
I don't think so because I think every year is just different. I know I say that regarding a lot of different areas, but just putting young players on the field, it could be a different year as well. There might not be as many because I feel like we got a lot of guys returning that have a lot of confidence in, and we'll see how it fits with free agency in the draft, and I'm excited to see how that process unfolds.
Obviously, every time you add someone who's never been on the team before, how do you go about the process of making sure you're identifying the right guys without maybe going?
Every resource imaginable. It's whatever connection we have to someone who's been around them, whatever scouting report we had on them coming out of college. There can be a lot of different ways you approach it. We try to utilize every single one of them. You want to make sure you're getting the right person that walks in. You're not bringing in a problem. You're bringing in one of us, someone that fits our personalities in our locker room. And so we spend a lot of time. We're very careful with who we bring in and try to make those right decisions. Ben, I know you had one. This is in my genre of favorite questions about things that I learned about Joe every year. I wouldn't say that I learned much about Joe this year. I love going to work side by side with him every single day and trying to execute a plan that can help us win. And he's one of the biggest competitors I've ever been around. And so as many people that you can get like Joe around you, I think is critical. He's a champion. He knows how to win. He's won before. And he wants to do whatever it takes to get back to the top, and let us go win a Super Bowl. So I can't say that I learned anything from Joe this year, but every year we gain experiences side by side with each other that I believe will help us win a championship. Wow. That's a great question. What derails quarterback development? I don't, I think here we have stability in our system with our coaches. So our guys know when they walk in the building what to expect, whether it's a backup quarterback or third string or scout team guy. We have a process that we feel works for us very well. I can't speak to what derails other quarterbacks. That's not really my spot to do that. I've got a lot of belief in our quarterback coach, Brad Craigthorpe, and Dan Pitcher's been our quarterback coach, and that when guys walk in the building, that we're going to do everything we can to develop and get the most out of them if they step on the field. Yeah. Well, there's not necessarily, because there's a lot of head coaches that call the plays, and so I think that's where it starts right there. There's a lot of head coaches that call plays in this league, and there's a lot of criticism that comes with calling plays. And so if you're just the coordinator and you call the plays, typically in 3 years you better put your house on the market. You're either going to be a head coach or you're going to be fired. I mean, that's the way it goes. I'm not saying that at a jest. Like that's the truth. That's how it is. And so it's just a unique position that draws a lot of criticism, and that's kind of the fun part of it. I love doing something that people are passionate about, and it's just, it's. I don't know if I answered your question clearly, but I think you could write a whole story on that topic. It's a topic that I haven't had to deal with because we've had continuity. I had Brian my first 5 years, and Pitch was our quarterback coach, and we've had him the last 2 going on 3. So I'm not the best to speak on that. I'm happy with where we're at. I'm happy with the process we have and the people we have involved in it. It's a great question. I think everyone would probably give you a slightly different answer because of how their place is, and try to be there for these guys. Do I always do enough? I don't know if I always do enough. I honestly don't. And you hear players that have gone through a significant injury that when you were there for them or someone was there for them, they're always very loud. This person, I appreciated that. That really helped me through the process. And that always resonates with me. I'm not going to sit here and say that I feel like I've been perfect in that area. It's a great topic you brought up because it is important. It's not a throwaway. We do have to support these guys when they go through that stuff. It's you hope it never leads to a tragedy, but I know that's a tough topic that we got to continue to be better at. A lot, everything, and obviously I had great mentors before Sean, but working for Sean, he just showed there's a transparency level there with the head coach that can exist. He was, I don't remember how, 31 maybe when I started working with him, I think, and he was very transparent. He told us what he was going through, what he was feeling, what he was dealing with players, and that was unique to me. I hadn't been in the league very long, and so to see a young guy that it's okay to share with everybody what he's dealing with, be pretty transparent with the players, form good relationships with the players on and off the field, that's okay to do as well. And there was just a belief that Sean had, and whatever came out of his mouth, everybody around him believed it. He empowered everybody around him. I remember as an assistant coach, whether I was assistant receivers or quarterbacks, you always felt like valued and empowered. He let you know that. And so, again, I'm grateful for having worked for him for 2 years. I learned a lot from him. I don't think it's any secret why people, there's the joke that if you had a cup of coffee, you're going to go be a head coach. There's truth to that, because when you spend time with Sean, it rubs off on you. You believe everything in the process that he does, and then you take that process and you convey in an interview because you believe in it. You're not just guessing what it looks like to go be a Super Bowl contender, Super Bowl. You're not guessing. You've seen the groundwork laid, and that's what we took here at Cincinnati. In our 3rd year, we were playing for a Super Bowl because we believed it, and we knew what it looked like, and we knew how to get there, and we know how to get back there. And so I can go on Sean for days and weeks, but he's been a lot to me, and I think he's a great coach. He's impacted a lot of other coaches. I don't want to speak too soon on where he's at for 26. I know he's progressing nicely as the season went on and as we got into the off season, but I don't have an update for you today on how that's going.
You look at backup quarterback.
I'll go ahead to you now.
Yeah. So second year with Alvin, your defensive coordinator. How much? I asked you this question earlier, but how much is now having more familiarity with Alvin's defensive staff? What you've seen on film, pouring over even the advanced data, what does that do as far as identifying players you want to find from a culture and potential scheme, and not just in grades?
I think just for having coached those guys for a year, our defensive staff, they know exactly what we have in the building. A lot of young players coming on, a lot of veterans, how they fit with us. And so now what are our needs? And I'm not going to get into what our needs are, but guys that can walk in here and help us. And these interviews that we do with these guys help us. We get to know these people. We get to put a name with the face as we watch the tape and all the traits we're looking for. And so it's exciting to have that staff back for a year or two and to be able to attack the draft with these guys. I think that's a lot of fun for me and for them. Someone over here has.
Is your quarterback evaluation up a couple notches this year with the potential opening backup?
I think that's fair to say. You know, it's obviously Joe Flacco will be a free agent, and so we got to evaluate everybody that's out there. And I don't know where to fall. I don't know where to fall in free agency or the draft, but certainly something we're going to be paying attention to. Press? Yeah. I mean, Press is he's been in that role before. I think he's an incredible coach. I've never worked with him, but the people that have been around him are always quick to tell me that. I know Ben thinks highly of him. I think it's a great relationship with he and Ben. I think the world of Ben. I worked with Ben for 4 years in Miami. Been around Press my whole life, so I think those are two people that do it the right way. That'll work really well together. They got a great staff there in Chicago. Ben's done a great job with that group, and so we don't play them in the regular season, so I can pull for them, in the regular season. But I'm excited for the opportunity Press has got. Press is ready for that, and again, he's like everybody had bumps in his career, and now he's at a place where I'm happy he's there. I think Chicago's a great organization, great head coach, and happy to see him flourish there.
Zach, you have used the term, you want guys who love ball. Duke talked about it earlier at the very end of this presentation. What are the most important characteristics you learn about players you might have on your roster?
Well, how they view the game, their football IQ. Just when you hear them talk football, you kind of get their passion for the game sometimes from people around them. You try your best. Anybody I got a relationship with, trying to ask about a player, same with their scouts, try to learn more about that guy. Ultimately, you want someone that loves football. You want someone that elevates everyone around them. So you want someone who's a force multiplier. You put a guy at this spot, man, the two guys next to him are going to be better players because of his football IQ, his communication skills, his talent level. Raises everyone up a notch. And so when you can get a whole group of guys that are like that, it elevates an entire unit and it elevates an entire team. And so those are the types of guys that we're looking for.
In that regard, linebacker, how important would be adding a veteran presence, not just for adding to the room, but what it could do for Barrett and Demetrius as they need to kind of take a step?
I think we're open to however it will fall, and so, again, without getting too early into it, we're still in February. We're not in free agency yet, draft, but I'm excited about the development of those two guys. I think they got some experience that you couldn't have bought with them on the sidelines, and so they learned from that. They have really bright futures, and now we'll just see how it falls for the rest of the spring and see what the competition looks like in OTAs.
The general consensus is finding to fix the defense. The offense is great with Joe, Jamar, and the team. When you approach the offseason and look at weaknesses, could you identify stuff on offense that you
Well, I think there's things we need to be better at. We didn't take care of the football this year, and so it doesn't matter what kind of talent we have on offense. We did a poor job in the turnover margins on both sides. Defense got better as the year went on, but offensively, we didn't finish in an area that puts you in the playoffs or wins divisions or anything like that. So I think forget about the talent level. Those are things that as coaches and players we got to do a great job capitalizing on to give ourselves the best chance. And we did hit the top of how we wanted to play in any area on our football team, and that's all three phases. And so I do think that we've got a lot of talent. There's probably not a lot to do on offense with our personnel. Doesn't mean we won't evaluate guys that can help us. But again, I do want us to continue to play better on that side of the ball to help everybody. I can draw inspiration from a lot of different things. I probably speak a lot about my dad. My dad inspired me, just the way he lives his life, and he's gotten the most out of his children, I think, and what he's wanted from his life. He was my first coach, and everything I did, I saw the way he was an example for his kids. I'm at that moment now, a kid going into high school next year, where you're trying to make sure, did I do everything I could to get him ready for real life? And so you think back on lessons from my dad. I can think about the other day. My son asked me, it's freezing. We all live in Cincinnati. It's freezing right now. It's brutal, okay? And probably 20 degrees, and he texted me, can we go throw at 6 o'clock at night? And I almost made the excuse, it's too dark. It's going to be dark in 20 minutes. We can't do it. But I thought that's not what my dad would do. He'd go throw with me. So I picked up football. We went out to Kilgore Elementary School and threw and had a good time. So great question. Yeah. Sure. Well, I think it's important in this profession to have people around you that support you and love you, and I brought you up the right way, and I know Preston and I are fortunate to have that family, and so that means a lot to us. All good? All right.